Manchester United's clever recruitment structure is still in full force as they try to steal an Olympic gold medal winner in Sanchez from Sevilla. Also, not stopping there, they're in for Yilmaz from Trabzonspor as well. Another young, dynamic fullback which has just burst onto the scene in the last year as well. Clear strategy ahead of Manchester United and why we're going for these young, up-and-coming players. A contract situation that United are taking advantage of as well with Sanchez. I'm going to get into that. This is your morning update show here, Manchester United fans. Welcome along to Forever United TV. I'm Adam, getting you set up for your week. If you're on the school run, if you're having your breakfast, if you're on your way to work, I've got you covered with all of the Manchester United updates from last night, earlier this morning. We've got plenty of international to talk about again, as Bruno Fernandes stars again alongside Diogo Dalot. More minutes for Eriksen. It is going so well for Manchester United at the moment, but we're talking transfers first of all, and a clear strategy and plan for Manchester United's new football structure right now. And it is a very clever one. I'll tell you exactly why and that. Please give the video a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Let's get as many likes and as many new subscribers as we possibly can on this video this morning. Kickstarting the week ahead to football being back finally this weekend. One more day. I think 2 more days, including today, of international duty to get through. And then we are clear to talk full on Southampton away and United coming back and desperately needing to get some results in the bag. Let's get cracking with the main news though this morning on the show, which is a transfer situation that United are looking to take big advantage of, because let's just talk about Juanlu Sanchez first of all. Seville right back, he's a gem. He's an even bigger gem because Manchester United could get him cheap if they take advantage of the current situation. Now, Sanchez's contract runs out in June 2026, which means obviously after this season, obviously he has come through and isn't right in the limelight right now. 1 full season last season, that was his breakthrough season with Seville. He's now started every single game so far. He's been involved in, I think he's had 3 starts and 1 substitute appearance this season already in 4 games. So Stonewall, dead cert now for Sevilla, and you know what they're like in terms of producing gems from their academy as well. Great setup at Sevilla. I've actually personally been there and seen their training camp from a couple of seasons back when United were playing there in the Europa League. It is outstanding, and the setup is phenomenal. It's better than Manchester United's. I can say that for certain because of what we've seen in the facilities that they've actually got there. But yes, Sanchez is one of them players, the next thing to come through, the next right back to come through. And you know what's going to happen. You know that there's going to be a pathway. With 1 year left on his contract, you know who's going to come knocking. Obviously, the likes of Real Madrid, the bigger clubs, like pretty much similar to like Ramos when he was coming through and then taken by Real Madrid. United trying to steal the match. They have contacted Sevilla and the sources are saying that United have opened up communications to find out the situation, whether it would be open for a move, what his contract situation is going to be like after this season. Obviously, he could easily just sign a new deal, but United have already got people in there talking with Sevilla and talking to the players' representatives to try and make, let's just say, the first move and trying to put the sort of foundations in with a possible move to England. It's obviously difficult at first. Obviously, young players in Spain, they have a great setup there. Like I said, very difficult to move young Spanish players on from their home country and playing in La Liga. Obviously, they've got two of the biggest 2 clubs in the world there. And the facilities at Sevilla are not that bad, like I said. So United trying to get in there early and get this, I'll really just find out if the player is up for the move. Good player, but the most important thing again to take from this is the fact that United are in early. They're trying to get deals done before they start to really materialise, as in everyone comes to the fore. And I think Sanchez this season will probably be more prominent. He is mainly an under-21 Spanish player. If he breaks into that Spanish international side and has a good season this season, then you know everybody's going to be clamouring for him. I mean, they won't just be Manchester United looking at Sanchez. There's other teams involved as well. But the fact that United are looking for young players and contract situations like Sanchez's is where this recruitment team will start to come in and figure out the best deals for Manchester United. With future-proofing defence, you could say. We're trying to find young, dynamic fullbacks that can be at the club for a long time. See, for instance, what we're looking at here, you could be looking at the next best defender to come out of Spain, and he's in at Manchester United. Remember, United did this with the likes of Piqué, but obviously Piqué went back, and we got him a lot younger. We got him into our academy. This is how soon you have to find this talent and bring it in. Arsenal did it with Fabregas. He ended up wanting to go back. If they're already there and in situ and playing in Spain, and it's very, very difficult to actually get them players back, or actually get them from Spain and get them into England. I mean, you only have to look at the players that are in. I mean, you could look at what Brighton did with Cucurella. That's a perfect example of a young Spanish player. Now, that obviously European Championship winner as well. Yeah, nobody likes him, I know that, but still, they got in early. They got him before anybody else really started to actually take notice of him. And this, I think, is where United's approach is. Don't forget, obviously, Dan Ashworth with his ties to Brighton and knowing how things work. You could see the model of what he's trying to do. You can see the Dan Ashworth influence within this sort of signing. This will obviously be something that Christopher Vival is also involved in. But like what Brighton were doing, bringing in I want to use Cucurella as an example because of obviously Brighton and what model they had when Dan Ashworth was there in bringing through young talent that hasn't really come to the fore or been recognised in the mainstream media within sport and football. And you just got to look at what they did there, and it is copycat really, but it is a blueprint that works. And Manchester United not being part of that is why we're so far behind right now. So when you look at what's actually happening in the world of transfers and how things are actually done right now, it's everybody's clamouring for them young players. Everybody wants to get there first, so they're not paying massive amounts of money. And Sanchez will be very, very cheap. In terms of market value right now, he's rated at around 12 to 15 million euros. And obviously Sevilla, if they don't tie him down to a contract, then they will be struggling to keep hold of him. I don't know what they're going to offer him to keep him there. Obviously, you've got Delors of Spain and still being there, and then the possibility of Madrid coming in for him. I fully expect if he does have another good season this season that they will be all over this deal, because obviously they're looking to get a replacement in for Carvajal at right back as well at Real Madrid. So you have to move quick. You have to be on the ball. You have to be ready to go. And United touching base and contacting. Look, this, from the reports, is all good for United. There could be another 7 clubs in waiting doing exactly the same thing. We just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But we have to talk about this in a positive, simply because United are actually in the mix and we're looking at this type of player. This is how we're going to wait. It's like we're not just looking at the obvious players. We're looking at the ones that no one's talking about. We're looking at the ones from different countries as well, trying to get in there early, and now building up this setup and structure and culture at Manchester United within the academy. Like we're doing, we talked about Dogu last night, the new left-back that we were talking about from Denmark. Obviously, we're talking Obi Martin, we're talking Lascelles and all of these other players. But this little pathway and platform that United are building for these young players right now, they're just trying to make it an appealing prospects for these young players. And I think this is why we are now going down this road, is build the foundation from within, make it look appealing, and then obviously you can attract more quality players to that academy setup at United. This is why Ineos are building Carrington up. They're trying to make it look more appealing. They're trying to make this look like a proper academy setup, where, as before, it's just been forgotten about. And all we've been doing is buying in these ready-made players like me and Jay spoke about last night. We've not even been giving the academy the time of day, it would seem, because we've not produced enough. Until United made a clear effort just before Ineos came in to make a big thing about the academy and actually give it the opportunity that it really does deserve, it wasn't even talked about. Then we won at the FA Youth Cup with the likes of Mainu Garnacho, Goff. There's quite a few players there, to be honest, that came through that one. So that was United coming back a little bit, Nick Cox and the team and everyone at United doing that. And now you've got the recruitment structure in place. Now you've got the technical director in Wilcox, Christopher Vival, and his eye for that younger talent. You're talking like Kone, you're talking Obi Martin, Lascelles, like we said, and then bringing in players like this from Sevilla. They're not necessarily academy players, but you can see that if there's actually a culture there built from the academy level coming through at United, then these players will be more attracted to coming. Whereas before, what are they attracted to apart from the name of Manchester United? We need to be more than a name. We need to be more than a history club. We need to actually have a pathway for these players to actually come through and play regular football and compete. Look, this is going to be a difficult signing to make, and I'm not saying that United are going to get Sanchez because of reasons that I've just explained. Real Madrid will be all over this. Big clubs like Barcelona. He is going to be cheap because he's got 1 year left after this season if Seville do not tie him down. And like I said, experience now, getting first season at Seville. He won the Olympic gold medal this summer as well with Spain. And everybody knows that the young lads coming through Spain at the moment, they've got loads of them coming through. And if you don't get there early, you are going to miss out. And they're going to end up being them players that are going to cost too much in the future. Can United break the mould and actually get in there ahead? This is a challenge for Ineos, this one. Which is why we talked about Dargu last night. Also, Manchester United in for Yilmaz as well. Another young centre-back / right-back from Trabzonspor, who's only just broke through. And this is nowhere near at the level of, he's only 20, nowhere near at the level of Sanchez or where he is and how sort of, I'd say, like more experienced, more developed than what Yilmaz is. But again, United looking at the next things coming through, the next best players coming through at the right prices. I said this before on many shows, United won't be buying marquee players. They won't be spending more than 50, 60 million on players anymore. It's never going to happen. United are going to be buying the younger players, bringing them through and developing them. And this is how it's always going to be. Like Yilmaz is another example of a player, like we've spoken about in detail this week alone, in Kune, in Obi Martin. We talked last night about Dogu. Like I said, we've been talking Sanchez this morning, Yilmaz. Every single one of these players, is not one of them over the age of 21. This is where United's recruitment structure is heading now. And it is good to see. Like, you cannot see these players dislodging what we've got there right now. So you would obviously ask the question, why are Manchester United buying these players in or looking to bring these players in when they're probably not going to get the opportunity to have the right amount of game time? Well, you only have to look at what Ineos are trying to put in place at United in terms of a style of play. They're pretty much doing all of the business around the manager and just clogging up the avenues with pure talent, as to say, look, we're not just going to go out and get the player that you want. We're not going to go out and get that marquee and spend 60 million plus. These are the players that we are bringing in, we are developing, and they are going to be there on tap to bring through into the first team. You're going to have an abundance of players. And if it doesn't work, like we said before, and we cannot get that player through, or he doesn't make it for one reason or another, that player will be sold on at profit, because United have got in early, got the player at the right price, and then are going to sell him on for a profit. And that will help Manchester United balance their books. So let's not forget, if that player has been there a certain amount of time as well, and they do sell him on, then he can be classed as homegrown if he's brought through the academy level. That's another avenue. This isn't a Sanchez because he's 21. He will be coming in, and you'd expect a 21-year-old to actually be a first-team player. So how are we looking at that with the likes of Mazraoui being there right now and Dalot being there? Yeah, obvious questions. But you need depth. You need quality in depth. And how United sell it to Sanchez, I don't know. Yilmaz will be one of them players I think will just be looked at and said, look, he's a player there that we can develop within our own academy system and in our under-21s at the moment. Let's see if he can be that player. And then he might get a chance and come through. You don't know. You really don't know in terms of how the players are going to do when they come into Manchester United. But the message and the strategy is clear. United are all over these younger players right now, and they are competing with the big guns again. They're not just standing still. 2 young fullbacks, 3 if you add Dorgu from yesterday, that United already are communicating with their respective clubs in hope that they can get deals done for maybe January, for maybe even next summer as well. And I feel like this is how United's transfer windows are now going to go. It's going to be flooded with young players, right prices, nothing overpaid, and everything that they've done this summer in terms of buying a first team, or half a first team, which they have done. All first team players can go right in right now and play. Masses of experience. That is a young set-up team. And by the time they start to come to their mid to late 20s, you've got the next wave coming through, which is a mix of the likes of Kune, the likes of Obi Martin, Lascelles, possibly these 3 players that we're talking about now, and the academy players that are also coming through. So really, you're looking at a conveyor belt of talent coming through. They've built a solid foundation this summer in players in at United who have all improved everything that we've got and had from last season. And now we're looking to see that through. And then by the time that they come to a certain age, you'll have these other players pushing them on from there. let's get into the chat and see what you guys are saying regarding these new players. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. Please do get your comments in on everything and how you feel about this sort of player. This type of player, younger players, like going into last night even when me and Jay were talking about Doggu and another fullback. Please also give the video a like, guys. We have just creeping up to 1,000 in the room on the early morning show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Over 150 likes, but we want more. Please give the video a like. Get them up, everyone. Almac says, need a quality manager that doesn't bring in players like Anthony Mount and Anana. Going back to Ten Hag again. That wasn't me who said that, everyone, so don't have a go at me. That's Almac. I'm not throwing you under the bus there, Al, mate. Everyone's got their opinions, I know. Look at Young Angel. Was tired to be the future of United. Now he's playing with England. Yeah, he wasn't waiting around. United didn't give him the opportunity. Why? Because the squad was full of aging, overpaid, already made it mentality-based players. And that's why players like Angel Gomez didn't make it. That's why we never seen Iqbal actually given a chance. I'm not saying that Iqbal was the best player. He was a good player, and you just don't know. You don't know of Angel Gomez. You don't know of a lot of Manchester United young players because they were never going to get given the chance. Manchester United were in a position where they couldn't risk bringing young players through because the managers were so desperate to make a mark, and we were spending money like it was going out of fashion with a crap recruitment setup and a bad structure at Manchester United. It was a recipe for disaster. And we're obviously dealing with the aftermath of that now still. Chris Hackett says, Ashworth copped some flack from Mitchell to the mess he left Newcastle in regard to their transfer business. I looked at that. I seen that last night. That came out. It's like, what has Ashworth got to do with the setup that Mitchell? Like, there's talk that he actually might be going, Mitchell, already. He's only been in there, 2 months? Let's go and sort your own shit out. I mean, to be honest, like, Dan Ashworth, what's he supposed to do with his no money to spend? Like, he's only been in there a little bit. He's obviously seen what it's all about at Newcastle, and that is that, yeah, you've got plenty of money behind the scenes, but if you haven't got the right setup to balance PSR and financial fair play, you cannot spend nothing. So what's he supposed to do? I don't know. I think that's just someone lashing out. I mean, let's be honest, there are some good players that came in to Newcastle, and they have got good players right now. Over the last few years and the time that Ashworth's been there, they've brought in some really good players. But, yeah, when it's not going right, there's always someone to blame, isn't there? And I think Mitchell there just lashing out. United Spotlight says that even if these players don't make it, they're good for financial fair play later down the line. It's just a clever business we haven't been doing before. Exactly like I said, if they don't make it, they can always come in and make Manchester United money. I think they will get the opportunity to prove themselves in this team. Ineos are all for moving out the deadwood and the aging players. We've seen this. And I also look at it and go, look, if United bring in a player, say, like you get like Obi Martin in now, for instance, just using him because he's 16, obviously he's like 4 years younger. So you see, we're talking about Sanchez right now, trying to break into United's side. Like Obi Martin's 16, he's 4 years younger than him. Like in another 2 years, he's only going to be at the age that Mainu was when he broke through into United's side. And they're talking about him possibly getting a chance in the first team. This is how young he is. Can you imagine how much he's going to be worth if he does hit them targets that everyone's talking like he can get to? It's going to be absolutely crazy. And United have got in there, got the deal done earlier. Yes, it may be a bigger deal than what Arsenal were offering Obi Martin. And obviously, we don't want to be overpaying players. But when you think about it, these players are not on mega money. They're on fair price money. And then when they don't make it or do make it, Manchester United are in a position within a few more years to say, well, you still got 2 or 3 years left to run and you're only on this amount of money. If they have proved a point, then they can obviously give them a better contract because they are worth it. They're getting them at the right age. They're giving them fair wages. And then if they do turn out to be something else, you're probably not bothered about giving them a little bit more money because they have turned into that superstar player. Look, rewarded and then double rewarded if you actually do make it. That's how it is. It's all incentivized with Ineos, it seems, and the structure looks great. It's like people talking about the wages that we're going to be giving to Lenny Yoro, and everyone moaned about it. Why is a player worth that? Well, in 6 years, when that contract is nearly up, and he's what, like 23, 24? And he's like, so actually, for instance, like he's on 20, he'll be 22. He'll have what, 2 or 3 years left on his contract. yeah, and he's on this amount of money, which is less than 100 grand a week, and you've got a superstar centre-back, then he is then given another contract. Well, if he has hit his straps and made that mark, then he's probably worth more than that then, and you're willing to give him more money. But right now, if you've got a 22-year-old in a few years' time who is actually playing brilliantly, and he's on less than 100 grand a week, then is that not sensible business as well? Look, if he makes it, he makes it, and he'll get more money then. But what he's earning right now is definitely within the financial structure of what Manchester United have got now at the football club under the new regime, and he's affordable. So it makes complete sense, and I'm loving what we're doing right now. I did it before the other day. Like the only player that's come into Manchester United which this summer that's within the top 10 earners of this at this football club. And let's be honest, I said this a minute ago. The 5 players that Manchester United brought in this summer, and I'm talking first team players, the 5 players that have been brought in that have improved Manchester United's first team. As in all of the players like Mazraoui, De Ligt, Yoro, Agate, Xerxes, all of them 5 players that have been brought in that can go right into that first team. Only one of them is in the top 10 earners of this football club, and that's Matthias De Ligt, and he's on less money than Harry Maguire, and he's 25. Is that not decent football structure? Is that not decent football business? And that shows you exactly where United are actually at right now and what Ineos have done this summer. Like, inflation carries wages forward. Matthias De Ligt's had a massive pay cut to come to United. This is what we've got and what we're dealing with right now. And these younger players that we're buying to come through are going to be looking at this and going, right, okay, this is the benchmark. You've got Manuel Agate, who's hopefully, God, please be good, which he will be. He's on like 100 grand a week, and this is our mark now. You've not got like players looking ahead to the likes of leading Marcus Rashford and Brandon Williams, and all of these academy players at United have just overpaid completely. Anthony Martial, Jadon Sancho, like ridiculous amounts of money. Like, they're not looking at them players anymore. They're looking at players that are on decent, sensible wages for first-team players at Manchester United. Cuban says, we need to be searching the French and Spanish systems for players like this. We do. Everyone's been talking about United never doing this, and we're doing it now. I think more people need to be on top of this and bigging it up because it's massive. And I won't say I'm buzzing. I'm not over the top. I'm just happy that United are actually running a proper football club right now, and they're doing it the way that it should be done. Like, building the new academy, building the infrastructure, giving the younger players a chance, a pathway, sending them on loan to the right football clubs that are playing a certain way that suits how they're going to be playing if they come back to United and make it at United. Like, this is what football directors do. This is what these people do. Like, it's, for instance, just like you're sending the player out on loan. It just looked like we were sending players out on loan willy-nilly beforehand. Now we're sending them to clubs that are playing a certain way. They're putting in these contracts that have buy, sell, and everything clauses involved in them. And we just didn't have it before. It's ludicrous how a club like Manchester United didn't have this set up before. Absolute crazy is the way this football club has been run. No amount of money can fix the mess that is Newcastle United. Strong words there. Ineos need to buy another A-League club who does not play in Europe and do stuff like Savinho for Manchester City. Look, maybe down the line, but let's deal with in-house first and getting United back to where they could be at home. You never know down in the future, it could be. Like, obviously, we've got 3 football clubs under the structure right now. In Lausanne, obviously Nice, and Manchester United under Ineos' group alone. So maybe we will venture out further field. Over 1,100 in the room. Please give the video a like. We're not over 300 yet in the live section. Please give it a like and make sure you have also hit that subscribe button, everybody. We're on the road to 60k. Get going. Be part of it. Jeffrey says, really happy with the path Ineos taking. Just hope they get their chance when ready. More picking underperforming players waiting for a moment. Yep. Don't go for it. Shiva says, hi Adam. It's very difficult to trust Ten Hag with more player signings. Out of all the signings, Eric had none. Has been consistent in performance. $1 billion spent. We are still clueless. $500 million. Let's not be too harsh on him now, Shiva. $500 million is what Ten Hag has spent, and I'm taking 100 million off there because of the ineptitude of Murto and Arnold, because he's officially spent over 600 million. Take 100 million off it because we overpaid for players. Ridiculous. Which wasn't his fault. Can anyone beat my 10 egg whites for breakfast? I'll try, Jay. I'll try, mate. Good to have Jay in the chat. Sean says, we have the largest scouting network in the world. In the past, the strategy has been to sign players. There is very few players we don't know about. Exactly. Like, United have got more scouts out there than anyone. So you've got to say, it's like, these players were probably there. Beforehand, I have been talking on shows, blaming scouts. But really, it wasn't their fault. The scouts are out there, and they're putting the names on the table for this recruitment structure and the club's powers that be to actually make decisions. They're the ones that have not done it. The people at United have always had employed scout-wise, have always been there. The people that the Glazers employ to run the football club are the problem, and why the scouts look so crap. The scouts were doing a great job in bringing these players, and you can see that with like what Ralph Rangnick was talking about, with what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was talking about, with players that they were actually saying you needed to buy. Like Solskjaer's scouts scouted Antony at 20 million before Ten Hag even came in. So we were looking at Antony 2 years before, near enough, as he was coming onto the scene. And they were rating him around 20 million then. United ended up spending 85 million on him. It's ridiculous. So the scouts can do their job, and then it comes to the people in power, and they ain't got a clue what they're doing. Now we do know what we're doing. And now that Ineos have brought in their structure, it does look like Manchester United would stand a chance with deals like what we're talking about here with Sanchez, with Yilmaz, with Dorgu. And that's why we've already got Kone, we've got Obi Martin through the door, Lascelles. All of these players, it's a positive. It's a massive positive. Jeff says, it's okay having the best crew, but it's having the right captain to run the ship, I'm afraid. Sorry, I haven't any confidence. As in, is that Ten Hag or is that Captain Bruno? I don't think you mean Bruno. I think you obviously mean Ten Hag on that one. Anthony is barely worth 2 million, let alone 20 million. True. Matt Lambridge with the super chat says we need to loan these future stars out at 18. I think we are doing a lot more loans with a lot of these players now, and obviously if we could only do so much within one summer, first summer for Ineos. But still, I feel like United are now going to start to do this a lot more. I think we are going to get the right loan structure for our academy players going through. It's pointless. It's a pointless convo, as many on this chat just like players after a bad game. Not really, Sean. Like we do like give positives for players. Like we can only talk about what we see. Like, and every player can improve and have a better game. Like, I don't like Marcus Rashford. I don't like what he did last season. I don't like the way he's performing. I don't like his body language. But do I know that Marcus Rashford could turn up? Of course I do. I'm waiting to see it, though. I cannot comment on a good game if he's not had a good game. So people saying we're always ready to go in. It's like I had some messages from last night's show saying it'll come good when the injured players are all back. It'll come good when we've got a fully fit 22-man squad. Like every other club has got. We've got a good squad, just as good as other clubs. We've got more than 2 players in every single position, and they're all international players. So I'm not having any of this absolute garbage that we haven't got it. I mean, I don't think that Marcus Rashford's PR team need to be throwing him under the bus with posting videos of him training while everyone else is playing international duty. I'm not blaming Marcus Rashford for that, because I think his whole career has been run by people behind him. Like, why are you posting pictures out of Marcus Rashford training? He's a professional footballer. We expect him to be doing that anyway. It's a cry for help. You're making him look desperate. Stop doing it. All we care about is what he does on the pitch, and he shows the attitude and the mentality on the pitch. Anyone can take a ball around a bloody cone and hit it at goal. Like, we know what he's all about. Stop trying to convince us that he is still there. We know he's there. We want to see more on the pitch. We want to see a better attitude. That's what we want to see. Stop posting videos of him on bleeding social media training. Look, he should be out playing for England. That tells you everything. Like, you're seeing Kobe Mainu stats come up in a game and a performance. Maguire stats. Every single United player within this first team that's going to start on Saturday against Southampton. Every single one of them players this week is playing full-on international football, apart from Marcus Rashford. And we've got his entourage and his PR team posting videos on social media of him training, kicking balls around cones. I love it. It's great. But we already know that. What we want to see is that better attitude and better performance. Well done, Marcus, for staying fit. You're a professional bleeding footballer. Tell us something we don't already know. Actually, no. Show us something. Don't say anything, because where's the cheap? Show us something we don't already know. That's what we want to see. We want to see you back in an England shirt because you're actually smashing it for United, mate. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see training videos. And people will come back on this. Oh, he can't win, can he? Everyone's moaning now because he's working harder behind the scenes. No, it gets to a point where you're just fed up of seeing the same old crap. That's what it is. Like, yeah, great goal when you knocked it past the stud-down dummy on a training ground video. Like, let's do it against Southampton at weekend and make it count. Then we'll start talking. Because right now, I don't want to be seeing our most paid player, our most experienced player, hitting balls around cones while the rest of his team's out on international duty. I don't want to see it. Sorry, it's just my opinion on that. I know a lot of people will slag me off for that. I don't care. That's just how I am, and I'll stick to my guns with it. 100% facts, Adam says. Berms, sorry if I offend anyone with what I say about players. I'm just passionate in how I see the game and how I look at players. I don't care for anything else. The training ground is easy. There's no pressure. It is. That's your day-to-day. Like, get out on that pitch and show me that you've got it up there. We have gone over a little bit, actually, guys. That is your morning update show, everybody. Thank you so much. Please give the video a like. That'll take us over 300 likes. I'll be back at lunchtime with more. There is quite a lot to talk about, actually. I didn't have time there. That went fast this morning. Good to be back. Fresh week ahead. Looking ahead to that game against Southampton this weekend now. International duty finishes tomorrow. I think all the games are wrapped up by then. We're probably giving a bit of an in-depth coverage of everything that's actually gone on over international duty over the last couple of nights as well, a bit later on as well, and bring you up to date with all other news that comes out with Manchester United. Mods, members, super chats, Mark Lambridge with the one super chat today. Thank you. Everybody, enjoy your morning. I will see you all later on this lunchtime. In a bit, everybody.